Singapore's chief expat. Welcome, Max Chernov.
We don't want this freaking wars and stuff. You read articles about Singapore, like that's strict. Yeah.
Singapore is a dictatorship.
No cars. I'm like, oh, shall we cross the road or we will get we'll get shot like straight away.
Do Russians think Singaporeans are soft? Ding, ding.
I was gonna poke you.
This is your daily Ketchup. TGIF, everybody! We have a very fun episode today because we have perhaps Singapore's chief expat. Or someone who understands expats a lot. Welcome, Max Chernov.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
So for those of you who have seen him on YouTube, you would have known him from his channel where he interviews a lot of mostly expats that are living in Singapore as well as expats who live overseas. So I think it's interesting to get a peek into the expat bubble perhaps, and who better than Max to have on the show. So for people who don't know what you actually do beyond YouTube, could you introduce yourself a bit?
Yeah, I'm Max. So mainly this.
Hi, Max.
Hello.
Hi, Max.
Hello. I've been doing YouTube for a long time, like for 6-7 years. I had a channel in Russian. It's about social media marketing, basically.
So you were teaching social media marketing?
Yeah, we did services for companies, for individuals.
Right.
So I have the channel with 300,000 subscribers in Russian about this. And then when I moved to Singapore, I was thinking, okay, I want to do something for the local market, for local community, something about Singapore or Singapore related. Because I'm here, I'm not already in Russia. So it's just, I love YouTube. I think YouTube is just great. First couple of videos, they get viral. So the videos were weird habits I adopted living in Singapore as a foreigner. And yeah, some of these get viral, and then I kind of stopped making content for 9 months. And then eventually last year, October, I kind of relaunched the channel. It was just 5,000 subscribers back then. Rehired the team. I just went full scale.
So what made you want to start interviewing expats?
We tried to find a niche. So we did different type of content, just talking head, me in front of the camera, interviews. I introduced a few entrepreneurs here in Singapore. So we tested for 3-4 months. We tested different types of content and formats, and then we found this niche. I think I introduced my buddy, American dude, and suddenly the views just go up like crazy. It was oh, something is here probably. And then I introduced another guy, a Russian friend. He was in NS here, so he's been here for 10-15 years. He came as a teenager. White guy in NS is big thing. So people are really interested about his experience.
Yeah.
And also the views was super high. Oh, maybe we found a niche, and we actually found a niche. And then I started into different foreigners. I also interview Singaporeans. Because I don't want to be only locked our content to foreigners, but seems like Singaporeans want to know what foreigners say about Singapore, about why they're here, what they do.
So the majority of your audience is from Singapore?
Yeah, 70%. Yeah.
I thought it would be more international.
I think it's also because Singapore is one of the top expat destinations, yet you also hear about how the laws here are crazy and the weather is super hot. So I feel there's this segment around the world also that is
that needs to know.
It's like the glass door of Singapore, you know.
Yeah. Can you review us, please? Right?
Yeah. Can you review the damn country? Hey, what's going on? I suddenly So how old were you when you left Russia to make your first move abroad?
When I was 21, I lived for a year in the UK, in London.
Right.
What
I was
spurred the
21.
move?
Yeah.
What made you move to the UK?
Back then, many people wanted to leave Russia. I don't know, UK always was one of the great options, as people thought. So for me also, I had the chance to work there. So I just moved. But then I didn't like it actually, because I had no money. Almost London is a very expensive city. I used to work for this company called Ketchup. It's a German company. They do clean equipment, car wash cleaner.
Right. Very weapon-like, their cleaning equipment.
Yeah. No, this high pressure machine. Yeah.
You talked about there was a time where a lot of Russians wanted to leave Russia. What was happening at that time? And you know, living in Singapore now, right? And you are exposed to media from all around the world in Singapore. Whatever the world thinks about Russia, is it true?
Partially, because Russia is very diverse also. Because Russia is huge.
Yeah.
It's very different life, let's say in Moscow versus like Russian village. And basically, like some people ask like, oh, what's the weather in Russia? There is no such a thing as weather in Russia because Russia is huge. It's like, south and north, it would be like 50 degrees difference.
Wow.
Let me jump back, okay? So let's put it this way. What are the 3 main reasons that make you want to leave Russia?
3 main honestly...
Or
like,
nothing, you just wanted to see the world.
Yeah, more like that. Because
Right.
before, when I moved to London, I actually wanted to leave Russia because I thought that people live better abroad and stuff, like Western world is better. But then when I already like spent a few years working in Moscow, and Moscow is a great city, honestly, it's like never sleeps, nightlife is great, service is great. So it's very comfortable life there, very digitalized. So in 2014, I actually wanted just to try something new.
Right.
That was the reason.
Right. So it's not like a cultural difference that you want. So for example, right, there are many Singaporeans that do want to live abroad because they find that life in Singapore is too stressed. Or especially if you would like to pursue the arts, it's very challenging to make a good living pursuing the arts here. You're really getting by with government funding and whatnot. Yeah, so it was not that. You just wanted to see the world.
No, I completely understand about the arts. Let's say I went to India 2 weeks ago, and I also interviewed people there, like expats.
Yeah.
Like out of 10 people, half of them were involved in the cinematography and film industry, Bollywood, like directors, script writers, actors, like some struggling actors. But if you live in Mumbai, you can actually survive for like $500, maybe $600 USD. But it's not the case in Singapore. In Singapore, you cannot just move from abroad if you're a foreigner, come to Singapore to try to do something in arts. The business model doesn't work because it's expensive.
Yeah.
But in Mumbai, it works. So many people, they know they can try to stay and save as much money as possible, like to not to spend a lot, and try to make it, let's say, in film industry.
That's interesting.
I don't know if you guys tell me what's your thought about Russia. What's the main thing that you think when you hear Russia?
It's forever winter and everybody drinks a lot and are good at weapons.
Yeah, true. No, I mean drinking. I don't think so because I stayed in the UK. I lived in Ireland for 3.5 years. So Irish guys drink much more actually than Russians normally.
Same.
I mean Germans also drink like a lot. I used to work for the German company. So
Do you fight?
Huh?
Do you fight? Do you?
not really.
Do you
Why?
drink? Can you hold your alcohol really well?
I can actually. I can drink a lot, but I'm the best behaving person in a group
I
of
see.
alcoholics.
You are the
Yeah.
responsible.
No, but what
alcoholic.
I'm the responsible one.
Yeah.
I'm always like thinking, oh, he gonna drown in this lake or something.
Right. What other Russian?
I can be like super drunk, but I still like
Very pessimistic.
control.
What does it feel like to see in most of mainstream movies, especially by Americans, where the villains are always Russians, and it's very stereotypical, right? They come in crazy ass jawline.
Yeah.
His name is what?
Ivan.
Ivan.
I think he was the Iron Man.
Honestly, I've been reading the subs and I've been calling Ivan, so yeah, Ivan. Ivan, yeah, I know.
You must have
How
not met Elon Musk.
does that make you feel? Do you feel like you don't care because this is just entertainment? Or a part of you feels like, what's this caricature version of like My Countrymen?
I didn't care much. I mean, it's
You're
fine.
like, yeah, Ivan.
Yeah, Ivan, you're the best.
And Ivan dies.
Go, Ivan, go.
Rocky.
No, honestly, I don't care. You know,
Okay.
Borat, this movie,
Yeah.
Borat. It's one of the funniest movies.
But it's not
with
making
this,
fun of Russia though.
it's like I think this accumulative image of like ex-USSR countries with the
Right.
heavy Russian accent.
Yeah,
Just-
I feel like it's the same with Asian representation, right? It's like all the Asian characters back in Western movies is you have to be that over
funny
over the
sidekick.
top, like ching chong.
Over,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like it's different in a sense whereby one is villainized, the other one's made fun of.
Oh, okay. I get it.
What's worse?
You don't.
It's evil.
They don't make
evil
fun of the
Rush.
Russians, you know. Even in those movies, right? The Russians are always the boss level villain.
Do you
know?
not rather be that?
I mean, but to a certain extent, like, how does that feel like, you know? Because Russia is a country. Like in Singaporeans, we jump around. Right? When movies make fun of the Chinese people, it's like we're not Chinese, we're Singaporeans. Right? But when the people like the Chinese are very good at math, then like I am Chinese. You know? But Russians, you cannot run because you are Russian. That is your nationality, and
Yeah. Please stop talking about it, okay?
When you moved to Singapore, you did mention in another interview that you decided to stay eventually because we had very similar values to Russia.
Let's say because Russia is a mix of Western pop culture, I would say. We were growing up like listening to Limp Bizkit and Rammstein and all those, and like all the Hollywood movies, this kind of stuff. But also because Russia, it's large part of Russia is Asia physically. So
true.
yeah. I don't know exactly, but I think 70-80% is literally like Asia. In Singapore, of course, also there are a lot of players like billionaires stay here, but it's not so obvious. I think so. I don't know. I think maybe it's not related to Russia, but I think it's easier actually to be for foreigner to be in Singapore because Singaporeans so exposed, so used to see a lot of foreigners around.
Right.
And there are a lot of foreigners live here. So basically there is a French community, 30,000 people. In India, French community like 10,000 people. So it's just a lot of foreigners. And Singaporeans are more, I think because of that, they are more like acceptive.
right.
I think.
When you first moved here, was there like anything that was a surprise to you or your wife?
Okay, like few things. Let's say because you read articles about Singapore, like that is strict. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel it's not very strict, to be honest. Like it's my personal opinion. But back then,
When Shamugam, you're like, wait, what now?
but back then, it's like I remember we were just staying next to the road. It's a 2-lane road, small road, at 10 p.m. at night with my girlfriend back then. And like we were thinking, no cars. I was like, oh, shall we cross the road or we will get like we'll get shot like straight away for trespass?
Most definitely will.
Yeah. And like,
So who took the first step?
Actually, you think about it, it really is very similar to Russia because that's what we feel also, right? Like the vibe I get from Russia is that because people tell us that okay, Singapore is a dictatorship, right? No one can talk bad about the government, all that stuff. And then, but you live here and you know that it's kind of not the case.
yeah.
Likewise in Russia, my understanding is that everyone is terrified of Putin, for example, and you know, is that part real?
Honestly, like I think people just want to leave
Their
leave
own
them
life,
alone.
right?
Yeah, we just want to live our life. We don't want this freaking wars and stuff.
Yeah.
Because there are like war supporters, but it's like a small percentage of the country. And afraid of Putin, I don't think so. It's just you feel uncomfortable. Like in the recent years, I think you don't want to say much because it's also like this public shaming. Like in Singapore, there is a case name and shame, like COVID and like in general. I think that's Singapore does it to teach people not to do like to behave sometimes. So they caught like someone and then they do the article in the Straits Times.
Like they use one person as a public example to scare everybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
And in Russia, how it works, I think, because people, I try to be like,
Treading carefully here.
Oh, you're trying to get shot.
he also, yeah.
Oh wait, he is afraid.
Yeah, so basically, like if something, like there are cases that people, let's say, put in jail for something.
Right.
But it's like freaking 150 million population country.
Yeah.
So it's still, that it's a low, it's very small, like low chance that something happened to you.
To
but
be
still,
the one to get made example of in Russia is a crazy odds. It's like, why me? There's 400,000 of us.
exactly, yeah. Why?
So eventually, why did you all then decide to move back to Singapore long term?
Oh, we just love the place. So after this first cultural shocks, but honestly, there were not many cultural shocks because it's a Singapore, very westernized country. Everyone speaks English. So we stayed in Ireland. We didn't like the weather. Like Irish people are super nice and sweet.
You didn't like the weather, but you okay with the weather here?
Yeah, I like the weather in Singapore.
You like the weather.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Really?
Bold.
Yeah, I hate to be cold. I don't like. Yeah, why winter even
Singapore is
exists?
great for you.
Such a white
Yeah, what's
thing.
the?
I hate the cold. Singaporeans pay a lot of money go overseas just to see snow and then
Just
do
to
nothing.
shiver.
No, snow is fine,
Yeah.
but like for 1 week.
Yeah.
Just to play snowballs and then okay, that's enough.
Do you? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Let me thank you. I thank you first.
Thank
I'll thank
you.
you first by saying, I do feel that there is some form of white privilege in Singapore, right? Like especially because, like for example, I don't think every foreigner enjoys the same privilege that fair-skinned Caucasians come and then the privilege that they enjoy. For example, I think our friends from India don't have such a good time. Even where Singapore is majority Chinese, I think people from mainland China is not having the greatest time integrating into Singapore society. Whereas I think because for the longest time, especially in Singapore's developmental years, right, when you see white people means money and white people means business and white people is probably your boss. So then Singaporeans have been, to a certain extent, conditioned to be nicer to Westerners. Do you feel that?
Okay, man, it's hard to say for me because I can't compare. I think maybe it's a number of like criteria to be treated well. Let's say if you have money, don't have money.
Yeah.
This one, like probably color of skin. I'm pretty sure like it plays there also. Not only in Singapore, in many places.
Would you say it's difficult for you to make friends here? Like when
No.
you first got here?
Easy.
What was your first Singaporean friend? How did that happen?
I think through football or through.
Ah.
I played this weird game called Spike Ball. You know
Yes.
Spike Ball?
Yes.
Okay, so I've been playing for 3 years already. Spike Ball.
No, but you found it in Singapore, right? Because you were
Singapore,
here 5 years ago. So how did you even find out that there are other people playing Spike Ball? Like what did that, was it there? Did you crawl the internet and for a random game and like, hi, Max, can I play?
So that was introduced to me by my American friend.
Also,
And
it was
he
an
knew-
expat club.
He knew it from life in the US. So he started playing in the US.
Right.
Then he moved to Singapore. Then I met this guy and then we start playing. And then we just start like getting like different people, also Singaporeans who like join the WhatsApp group and like we start
Right, right.
playing.
Also, you guys started the
We
own
kind of-
Spike Ball club.
Okay, we started. I think we are the most active, like our group. Me particularly, we are like one of the most active
Right.
spike ball players. Yeah.
Okay.
So raising your children in Singapore, right, as compared to Russia.
Oh, you are a father. Oh, sick.
Two times. Yeah.
Wow, congrats. Well
Thank
done.
Well done.
The creation of life is amazing, you guys.
So yeah, like having spoken about the main differences as well, right? Do you think your children have been raised very differently as compared to they would have been if you were back in Russia?
It's hard to say because I never had children in Russia.
But how about main differences
So-
to how you were raised in Russia versus raising a
Or
child
to
in
how I
Singapore?
raised. No, I raised in the 90s, and 90s was like very poor time.
Right.
Like my family was not like poor, but it's not like you have everything, you have a lot of money. It's not like that. And I went to just a local, very average school, let's say. So it's like completely different experience, different diversity. Let's say my daughter goes to international school, so it's kids from all over the world basically. So, and even if you go to local school, you have different ethnicities. Yeah, Singaporean with different backgrounds, like Chinese, Malay, Indian. And in Russia, when I was growing up, it was pretty homogenic, like kind of one race. Like
Yeah.
So you don't see the diversity. Yeah, so I think it's different.
Do you beat your kids?
Only on Sundays because
Same. Same,
no
same.
helper. Yeah, Sunday. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought I was thinking a bit detour to trigger a reaction. Very hard.
But only a couple of times on Sunday, not like
Yeah,
constantly.
not all day. I
yeah.
understand.
Yeah, I'm a human being.
Because on Monday to Saturday, we'll let the maid beat the kid. Yeah.
No, Monday to Saturday they beat me.
I've heard from another interview as well that you actually pay $7,500 a month for your rent.
Are you still?
We pay more. They increased. Yeah.
Oh shit!
The landlord increased recently.
Is Singapore the most expensive? Like, how does rent in Singapore compare worldwide?
Compared to big cities, is fine actually. Compared to London, New York, LA,
Oh,
On the
really?
Yeah.
same size flat.
same size. You cannot get anything near this size and quality for like 10K in New York.
Right.
You'll be like in a shithole living for like 5,000 USD.
Whoa.
So basically, it's not too bad. But I mean, you need to make money to live in Singapore. That's for sure. Especially as a foreigner, because we don't have this CPF, HDB, local schools. So you're kind of forced to make money, which is a good thing also. I mean, if you want to live a good life, it's better to make money. And then you kind of find a way how to do it, I think.
What is the top 5 warning for an expat that's about to move to Singapore? What are the 5 warnings you would give them?
Be prepared for Singlish.
Be prepared.
Why?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Why they?
I don't get it.
Not only Singlish, but I mean the just pronunciation, the accent basically.
Yeah.
Especially like for you, like with you guys is fine. Maybe I understand you well because I've been here for 5 years. But like let's say if you just arrive and like taxi driver, taxi uncle start a conversation with you, you probably like don't understand a word.
Right. Sometimes I also don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, are they speak English or not? I say, what? Why?
It's true.
What's going on?
At least the other countries, they just be like, yeah, we don't speak English. For us, we're like, we do, but you can't understand us.
Singapore is quite easy place to live, honestly.
Is it boring?
No, there are a lot of things to do. Actually, it depends on what you want. Let's say you cannot drive a car, or you cannot travel a lot, like by car, like in the US or in UK. Or in Ireland, you just jump into the car and at Friday or Saturday and just go anywhere. Here's not the case. But if you're okay to travel by plane, then it's fine. I mean, then you
Yeah.
can survive. So you need to, if you have expectations, you need to align them with how it works in Singapore. Yeah.
So coming from a country like Russia, which is so big, and you have modern, you have rustic, you have villages, you have mountains and seas and lakes, to Singapore, you felt like that was okay.
Yeah, we have Malaysia.
Oh, spoken like a Singaporean.
Yeah, JB. I
That is
go
the
to
most
JB
controversial
pretty
thing you
often.
said yet.
The other way around, right? Because we've been talking so far about like coming to Singapore. But what about, would you recommend a Singaporean move to Russia?
Since it's so similar and we like
Yeah.
the
Not
cold.
now. You wait.
Oh,
Few years. Wait few years.
But like culturally, right? Like you know how
Social
you want to
bestie.
move overseas for the experience and to open your perspective, right? Like say I really wanted to, but I couldn't. What might be the takeaways that I would gather from moving to Russia?
No, like for Russia, okay, now it's not good timing, but overall there are, let's say, for business, there are a lot of opportunities in Russia
Right.
because of the market. Market is huge. Like let's say for YouTube, there is a not big development scene of YouTube actually. Like you guys doing a great job, but there are like just a handful of channels like they're doing good because Singapore is expensive. And also the market size, so it's like under 6 million people overall, so maybe YouTube. But YouTube penetration is very high. I think it's 90% something. So it's like 5.5 million people like watch YouTube. But still it's small to make like substantial amount of money and to survive, especially if you hire people like your team in Singapore. So it doesn't work. But if you have a bigger country, and you basically have bigger audience, so you have more sponsorship deals, more everything basically, just because of the size of the audience. And you have more people. Let's say there are great like designers, programmers in Russia, and because the cost is not so high, because like the salaries are lower, and like compared to Singapore, so you have like cheap labor force and huge market. So basically, like let's say for YouTube, you have a lot more like channels with like super duper production, like TV quality production, and it's hundreds of channels. Channels are making like so much money just because of their market size.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm hearing from all your experience, right? Like I've always wanted to move overseas and live overseas because of like what you're talking about, learning from like gaining more perspective and all that. But for some reason, I don't know why I haven't. You know, like, and I think a lot of people are in the same boat. I don't know whether it's fears and whether they are or concerns that are legitimate. So like, do you have like, how do I put it? Like what are your thoughts on that? Yeah, like what are legitimate concerns that people should attempt to address before they make a decision like this, because it's quite a big decision, and then what are really fears that they shouldn't stop them? Yeah,
I think for Singaporeans it's easier than for the countries with weaker economies, let's say, because if you live in Cambodia, like how much money you can save to try to live abroad for a year, but if you live in Singapore, you can save like, let's say, 20K, and then let's say you can have a gap year, and then you live like basically anywhere. You can live cheaply in many countries, in many places, especially here in the region. It's easy to live on a low budget. And basically, I was always thinking, okay, what's the worst can happen? If you don't like the place where you moved, then you just go back.
Yeah.
Or like, what's really? And it's not like, I know some people, like some Singaporean friends, they say, oh, Malaysia is like very dangerous. Oh, come on, guys. It's not like, it's like,
No, go ahead.
no, it's like people think that Russia is dangerous, but for tourists, for foreigners, it's like, it's actually pretty safe. It's safer than Paris or London. It's like more like a China in terms of safety. No, like a lot of CCTV and stuff. You know.
Right.
I don't know anyone, literally no one, who didn't like the experience living abroad. No one say, "Oh, it was a huge mistake that I start traveling the world and live somewhere, like meet new friends. It was a big mistake."
Right.
It's not like that. Yeah.
You almost did though. You were talking about how you moved to UK for a year, then you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna pop back to Moscow."
I don't regret this
Yeah.
because I enjoy, like, it was a lot of things I learned there.
Right.
So it's really rich experience that I have there.
Okay, so thank you very much for watching today's episode, and of course, thank you, Max, for joining us and sharing his personal life with us so intimately and openly. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye. And Singapore very cold inside, actually. I was like freezing cold, and when my first year in Singapore, let's say I needed to go from Buena Vista to Changi by train, by MRT. Like after 40 minutes, you're just dead, just frozen to death. Yeah.
What a disgrace to Russia. This guy.
But in Russia, you can wear like a lot of clothes.
And
that's
drink
how it
vodka.
Do you realize you start dressing down when you live in Singapore? Like you go to work like this.
Yeah. That's for sure.
That's just because you're the
100%.
boss.
No, that's not
100%.
true. Previous companies were.
100%. I dressed up a little bit for you guys today, but normally it's just.
I can see that. Thank you very much.
But normally it's just a short
Yeah.
T-shirt and
I
flip
also wore a long
flops.
sleeve for you. If not.